actually a huge fraction of the people that I hired for Oculus in the early days were volunteer moderators on the Mod Retro forums. Like people always, they hire their network, right? They hire the people that they know that they can trust and that they know are competent. And that was my network when I was a teenager. It was other loser gamer teenagers on the internet. And so we some of our lead electrical people, our lead hardware people, our lead mechatronics people were all people who had been moderators on Mod Retro.
You're like,
in fact, the first person I hired for Oculus was one of the other moderators, and I actually sent him a message, said, "Hey, what are you doing? What are you doing this fall?" And he said, "Oh, I'm starting college." I said, "No, you're not. You're gonna come work for me." And I told him that on a Friday, and I literally drove out in my minivan to pick him up from his mom's house on Monday. And he had all his stuff in like 4 boxes. And I picked him up. We got in my van and we drove to the condemned motel that I was living in. I mean, it was wild. I mean, that was my network. So it's always funny when people are like, "Oh, your network is your net worth." Look, you got all the Stanford kids, you got the Ivy kids, and we were just a bunch of internet losers, and we did better than any of them.
You're like, I'm hiring HMD alumni. They're like, "Oh, is that Harvard Medical?" No. Head mounted display forum alumni.
Yep. It was actually the guy that I was hiring. His name's Chris Dykes. And he had never built a head-mounted display, but he was very accomplished on the portabilizing scene.
Yeah.
He had built a lot of handheld vintage game consoles, and I knew he was very competent. I knew you talk about a job interview where you meet someone for whatever they're maybe an hour or something. But I had been seeing this guy's work published on the forum over the course of years, and so I knew he had. I knew he had skills, and I knew he had work ethic.
That's exactly me and Shaan have hired so many people on Twitter. And I tell people all the time, like, I want to get a job. I'm like, man, if you just you need to post your thoughts so people understand your texture and your taste and your character. Yep. Like, that is significantly better doing it there and then just DMing someone. And then they're just going to click your profile. I'm like, oh, this person's tweeting all this interesting insight that aligns with how I think.
Well, and that's harder to fake too. If you have somebody who has a history of building things for themselves, of doing things because they want to, not because they're getting paid to, like, you can't fake that the way that you can fake an interview. It's easy to be like, "Oh, I'm passionate about X, Y, and Z." Well, show me your years of work that you've done for no money, showing that you really are. And I mean, we still hire a lot of people like that at Anduril. Like, we have benefits that are intended to lure people like that. Like, one of our benefits we have is that we will buy anyone in the company any tool they want for their personal projects as well as work projects. And that's the type of thing where people who don't have personal projects, who just they show up to their wage machine and they clock in and they clock out, they're not attracted by that. But the types of people who want to create for the sake of creation, those people, it's a golden ticket.
On that note, we did the same thing. My co-founder, he's a lot like you, like at age 15, started working at a .com during the .com boom. It was like, had a job and was like, what the hell's going on? And always was just doing his own thing. And so he used to buy like 3D printers and robotics, and we're building like social apps. It's like, we didn't need any of this stuff. And I was like, "What are you doing? Like, why are we doing this?" He's like, "Because I want it. Like, I want to come to a space, and like, when I'm done with work, I'm just going to go downstairs to their lab and I'm going to build like a drone, or I'm going to like take this Raspberry Pi and like shove it over here and figure something else out." And he's like, also, that's also how we'll get great people. Like, I want to work with other hackers like that who like to tinker on this stuff. And he's like, he had an exit. So he's like, doing very well. His last company went public. And so he was like, when I was like 16, 18, 21, like, I just couldn't afford the $1,000 thing that you would need to have. And he's like, I just got lucky that the dude down the street would let me come over and play with his thing. And that's like, that was like a life changer of a moment. He's like, so I just want to do that for people. Like, I'll just make it free. Anybody can come in and anybody can use this stuff. And he was totally right. Even though like our CFO was like, "Hey, we can't justify this." He's like, "Don't worry, I'll pay for it all out of pocket." And it was like,
and amazing. I know that struggle. We're like, and it doesn't even have to be $1,000. I mean, I remember there were times where the thing I needed, it would cost like $50, and it was just like it was inconceivable that I could afford it.